we were at the party for Bill Prop's mother. That's when we got to know you. We
Yes.
knew about you, but that's when we realized that we were related. I don't see the first guest that we're expecting, who's Karen Kramer. We may have to just sort of pass over her, so to
Do you
speak.
think Putin erased all the internet in Berlin today? He bombed the Bobby R thing. My son just told me the Bobby R Holocaust Memorial.
They bombed the Holocaust Memorial in Berlin?
No, in Ukraine.
Yeah. Well,
they sent a missile to it.
Yeah, it's horrible what's going on there. I played the national anthem of Ukraine for the president in church the other day, and I've got lots and lots of reactions on Facebook, all positive so far.
Yeah.
Anyhow, what shall we do? Let's wait another minute, and then I think we'll start, Mamie. And if Karen Kramer doesn't appear, then we just greet her if she appears later.
Good evening. I'm Mamie Yang, the director of the Henry Waldinger Memorial Library in Valley Stream, New York. Welcome to the third concert in our second annual series of classical music recitals, all on Zoom, presented by the library, and featuring soprano Helene Williams, pianist-composer Leonard Lehrman, the co-founders of the Court Street Music here in Valley Stream, and violinist Daniel Hyman, who'll be joining us a little later on. Today's program is dedicated to Women's History Month. This year's programs have been made possible with funds from the Maldeb Foundation and the Professor Edgar H. Lehrman Memorial Foundation, as well as individual contributors. Susan Welchler, Juanita Smith, Perry Sussman, who's with us today, Leonora Tiefer, a donor who wishes to remain anonymous, and the late Charles Samuel Brown. This concert is dedicated to the memory of three women of music. The pianist conductor Mimi Stern-Wolf, who passed away last year at the age of 84, will be hearing an arrangement that she made of a piece by Mira J. Spector, who made it to 91 last November and was our guest at our program last March, and Emily R. Lehrman, who also made it to 91 and whose 99th birthday is actually today. She served as faculty librarian for decades at Long Island University, where she was in charge of the record library, and she taught her son Leonard to read and love music and translation. So we are dedicating this concert to the memory, and we are also dedicating this concert to the memory of Australian poet Geordie Albiston, who will be appearing on video, but she passed away suddenly and unexpectedly, I guess 2 nights ago. The library is very proud of these recitals, especially since classical music concerts over the past few years have become so rare in Long Island libraries. The 2021 series featured over 59 composers, and we had 27 guest performers, writers, interpreters, composers, calling in and write from 4 continents. Today's concert will feature guest writers and composers calling in from Berlin, Germany, Rotterdam in the Netherlands, Maryland, New Jersey, Costa Rica, and Melbourne, Australia. Okay, let me scroll down a little bit. There is an overview of the program that I will put in a link in the chat. And then the links to all these programs are posted on Leonard Lehrman's website and viewable on his YouTube channel, which includes over 4,000 videos, including 12 of his operas, 5 of his musicals, and it has over 1,000 subscribers and has had over 1 million views. You can watch all the pre-recorded music on this program at a link that I also am going to put in the chat. So let me scroll down. And I will be putting some more links in there for all the concerts from last year, and then the schedule for 2022. So to introduce today's program is Dr. Leonard Lehrman, and It's yours now.
Thank you very much, Mei Miang, for co-sponsoring us today, introducing us, and for co-sponsoring all our recent house concerts. My wife, Helene Williams, and I have lived in Valley Stream now 22 and a half years. Today is our 678th concert together, our 14th Valley Stream Library performance, each of which we've had our dear friend and colleague, Daniel Hyman, with us, and he'll be joining us momentarily. There are so many women worthy of being honored this month. We kind of have an embarrassment of riches. In most cases, we'll only be able to spend a few minutes on any one composer, writer, or historical figure, but we will be featuring two major works, one of over 20 minutes, Rebecca Clark's three-movement viola piano sonata, and Robert Schumann's 8-song cycle on poems by Adalbert von Chamisso, Frauenliebe und Leben, Woman's Love and Life. We'll begin, though, with a short song from E.G., a musical portrait of the great Russian Jewish anarchist Emma Goldman. And I have a picture of her here. It says anarchist. It was sent to me by Candace Falk, who is actually on the call now, as I see, from Berkeley. Candace, are you there? It says connecting to audio, so it may be a while. I was expecting Karen Rudolph Kramer, who wrote the musical portrait with me in Berlin, but I haven't seen her sign in yet. Anyway, the piece that Karen and I wrote together, E.G., a musical portrait of Emma Goldman, was the piece that brought me and Helene together. On January 11th, 1987, she auditioned for the show. Glenn Becker, who's here with us today, was an assistant director and he'll preside over that audition. And we like to say that she walked off with the part and the composer. So this song, which we've performed literally hundreds of times on 4 continents, became the recessional at our wedding, July 14th, 2002. The work was written in Berlin with Karen Kramer, and she was here. Karen was here for the first was at the first performances in West Berlin in '87, and then again in East Berlin in 1990, and several in New York in 2007. And our dear friend Emma's biographer Candace Falk was there for the performance, which we're going to watch now. It was filmed by my cousin Marvin Lehrman in San Francisco in 1991. We were hoping that Candace would be with us, and she seems to be trying to be with us, but she's connecting to audio, so hasn't been connected yet. So I'm just going to read what she wrote and we received from her just yesterday. She was quoting Emma: "One must keep oneself together, for now is the time to work more energetically than ever." And then to us, she wrote, "Your creative spark has elevated Emma's legacy for so many, and for me too." So in this song, Emma Goldman is pondering her refugee status, feeling tired of struggle, yet realizing ultimately that that's what makes going on worth it.
You can have me for a song.
Music and Revolution is actually the theme of a concert that we'll be doing with Beth Jacoby and the and dancers Vision of New York. So that's happening in May. But now we're going to welcome another guest from Europe, my fellow Harvard and WHRB alum, Vanessa Lan in Rotterdam, Holland. I'm going to ask you to unmute, Vanessa, and also start your video. We can, there we go. Yeah, I was going through and stopping everybody's video and muting everybody, and which is the only way that we can hear these things sensibly. But now, hello, Vanessa.
Hi, Leonard. Hi, Helene. Hi, everybody. It's really great to be here.
Well, it's our pleasure to have you here. We found the song that you sent us on a poem from James Joyce's chamber music delightfully evocative. And what you wrote us about Helene's singing was just marvelous. Would you like to read or paraphrase that?
Sure. Well, I'm not only glad that I could be here, but I'm very appreciative that you've included my music on tonight's concert. And I was so happy when I heard the recording that you sent that I sent you this mail. I wrote, "I'm really overwhelmed by the beauty and love you've given my music. Helene, your voice is gorgeous and completely the timbre I was looking for. I also totally appreciate the attention you give the text, conveying exactly the most subtle nuances and also the more prominent and strong moments. The layers of meaning are so sensitively and clearly presented. And Leonard, I love the phrasing, tempo, and dynamics of the piano part. And I'm so pleased with the balance with the voice. It's so fresh and original, particularly the forward pacing at the beginning. And I am so happy with the way the text appears on the screen."
Well, yes, that's something we've been doing that's, I think, rather unique. Whenever a text is sung, we subtitle it, and if it's in a foreign language, we do it bilingually. The process is quite labor intensive. It takes about 20 minutes per minute of performance time, but it's worth it given the results. And so now let's listen to and watch My Dove, My Beautiful One by James Joyce and Vanessa Lamb.
mildew lies like a veil on my head. My fair one, my fair dove, arise, arise.
Thank you, Helene. Thank you, Vanessa. So now I'd like to welcome another guest currently living in New Jersey, who is calling in, however, from Tucson, the writer Miriam Schneer. I'm going to ask her to unmute and ask her to start her video. Hello, Miriam. I see you're there, but you haven't unmuted.
Hello, Leonard. Can you hear me?
There you are. Hello, dear. Great
Hi.
to see you. Such
You
a pleasure
too.
to see you, and such an apropos occasion. Now, we know of each other, of course, through the definitive work that you and your late husband Walter did on the Rosenberg case, and I was especially glad to have worked with the National Committee to get partial funding of his book, which you edited, this wonderful, very short but very important book, The Final Verdict. I always tell anybody who wants to know anything about the Rosenberg case, this is the book that they have to read.
It's really the final word, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And you showed that while Julius was a spy for the Russians, he was not, unlike his brother and sister-in-law, an atomic spy. And his wife, Ethel, was completely innocent of all of that. And my father worked on that committee too. I remember it was his influence that helped bring you to us, since when he was in college, he had dated your sister-in-law, she was still in high school, which kind of makes us extended family, or as they say in Yiddish, mishpacha, right?
Yes, that gave me quite a laugh.
So today is particularly appropriate to welcome you, since you've been such a terrifically prolific writer and editor on the subject of feminism. Thank you so much for sending me your latest book, which I have here. Wonderful book, Before Feminism. I read it very thoroughly. It took me a long time. It's very heavy reading, even though it looks like, but it's beautiful. I enjoyed reading every word of it.
Thank you.
It inspired me to interloan and read your previous book on this subject, Feminism, the Essential Historical Writings, first published in 1972 and then republished in 94. It was there that I found, and then set to music, this beautiful poem, Orpheus, also known as the Poem as Mask, written in 1968 by Muriel Rukeyser, which you wrote me is one of your favorite poems. Now, I've since discovered that that poem was a primary inspiration on another wonderful book called No More Masks. Seems almost appropriate, overly appropriate today. This was actually published back in 1993. No More Masks, an anthology of 20th century American women poets. So tell us, Miriam, we've got only a little time, but in a few words, tell us, please, what was it about the poem that resonated with you?
That's a hard question to answer, because poetry appeals to one on different levels. The music of it, the language of it is very inspiring and beautiful. And the message, it was written at a time when, before the movement to liberate women had its beginnings, and it was Rukeyser's plea, in a sense, to allow women to appear in the world as we are. So both the message and the language appealed to me.
Well, it's a very beautiful and seminal poem. And we've been promising you for months that we were going to have you hear Helene sing it, and we're going to do that right now.
I am honored to have it traced to me.
It's dedicated to you. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wrote of the women in their dances and wildness, it was a mask. On a mountain, god hunting, singing in orgy, it was a mask. When I wrote of the god fragmented, exiled from himself, his life, the love gone down with song. It was myself split open, unable to speak, in exile from myself. There is no mountain, there is no God, there is memory of my torn life, myself split open in sleep. The rescued child beside me among the doctors, and a word of rescue from the great eyes. No more masks, no more mythologies. Now, for the first time, the God lifts his hand. The fragments join in me with their own music.
Well, thank you, Miriam, again, and thank you, Helene. So now, it's my pleasure to welcome another extended family member, the distinguished and prolific composer, Lori Lehtman.
Hi there.
Formerly of Long Beach, Long Island, and now living and calling in from Potomac, Maryland. Hello, cousin.
Hello there. How are you? Nice to be here. What a nice assortment of guests you have put together.
Well, it's wonderful to have you. And as I was mentioning earlier, we only found out in 2005 that we were actually related. My father's mother's sister married her first cousin, and his sister, Rosalie Lipo Prop, married one of your cousins, twice removed, I think.
I can't even follow that. That's crazy.
Well, it's the Prop family that was the key. Bill Prop
Right.
was the your first cousin was the
Yes.
the one that deciphered this. WBAI producer Bill Prop, also known as Unpaid Bill. So anyway, it's great to have you with us today. Now, and I understand an opera of yours is being done in Indianapolis, and I just spoke with one of the singers in it, Cornelia Latito. She was hoping to be with us, but I think they scheduled a rehearsal at exactly the same time.
Yes, I'm flying out on the 15th, and then I'll be gone for about a month. I have everything that was postponed is now coming due. You know, COVID postponed is coming due, and I'll be gone. Yeah, so it's busy time.
So I want to thank you, Lori, for sending me this wonderful CD of yours.
Thank you. That's my
Our Women People, which is of course tremendously appropriate for a women's history concert. I listened to the whole thing. I was most attracted to the first of the two violin pieces on it, as was Dan Hyman, who has recorded it with me. It's a lullaby. And why don't you tell us something about the origins of it? I think you told me it was originally written for saxophone. Is that right?
Right. Yes, I wrote it for Gary Louie, an amazing saxophonist I've worked with for decades, and his wife, Kirsten Taylor. This was before they had children. I was hoping they were going to have children soon, and they did. And the kids are now in college. And then, you know, a couple of years ago, I met an amazing violinist, Tarn Travers, and I thought that the piece would lend itself to a violin rendition. And so I arranged it. I changed a few octaves here and there, added some pizzicato, and that was it.
Well, it's a lovely piece, and we're going to get to hear it now. I just want to say, though, before we do that, I've always admired the wide range of poetry that you've chosen and the caliber of singers who enjoy performing your music. But this is one of only two instrumental pieces on here, and this is the first one. So here's a lullaby played by violinist Daniel Hyman and myself as pianist.
Thank you.
Hello, Dan.
Hi, how are you?
Walked in just as we were hearing the end of that beautiful lullaby of Lori Laitman's that you played so nicely.
Thank you, Dan.
Well, we go on to the next piece. Actually, a song cyclet on one of the most set to music poets in the English language, Emily Dickinson. I think it's because she can be read on several different levels simultaneously, from the very simple to the most imaginative and even erotic. Now, this next cyclet of three of her poems was premiered and recorded by Helene on the Capstone CD, More Songs of Love, in 1999. But both of us were delighted when Perry Sussman expressed an interest in learning it for this concert. So this is the first video of the songs. I Felt a Grieving in My Mind, I'm Nobody, Who Are You, and Wild Nights, which has also been set to music by John C. Adams and Lori Laitman, among others.
I tried to match it scene by scene, but could not make them fit. The thought behind, I strove to join unto the thought before. But sequence reveled out of sound, like balls, like balls, balls upon a floor. I'm nobody, who are you? Are you nobody too? Then there's a pair of us. Don't tell, they'd advertise, you know. How dreary to be somebody, how public, like a frog, to tell one's name the livelong joy, to win in my ring bog. Wild nights, were I with thee. Wild nights should be our luxury. Futile the winds to a heart in part. Done with the compass, done with the chart. Rowing in Eden on the sea.
Hello there.
Hello,
So-
everybody.
So, Perry, it's been great working with you. I do hope you'll continue to do concerts and recordings with live accompaniment. It's always a pleasure to see and hear you, but much more so when you're actually collaborating rather than just trying to follow a recording. No.
Well, I do appreciate a good accompanist, especially one who writes music for me.
And you read scripts so well too. Thank you. Okay, so I want to say that, Perry, you were the designated premiere of roles in two of my operas, The Triangle Fire and A Love Letter from Rosa Luxemburg. And you have also premiered the role of the princess in the first English translation of Dargimishki's Rusalka, written by my mother and me, and premiered at Queen's College in her memory in 2015. So now we're going to hear a Dickinson song that you premiered at Community Church in 2019, a 12-tone piece, or at least a melody, 12-tone melody, and it's collaboration between me and our dear friend and benefactor Joel Mandelbaum, who just joined us. Joel, would you like to say hello?
Hello. Yeah. People might find it interesting as to why I found myself quite prepared to do a tonal harmonization of your serial melody. I had practiced just such a thing when I volunteered to lead a pickup chorus singing in a performance of Schoenberg's Survivor from Warsaw. I found the tone row we had to sing undecipherable, but somehow I had to learn it. So I divided it into smaller units, each one of which fit a traditional chord or progression of chords, and pivoted in my head from chord to chord to the next notes. The system worked, and I applied it to your Dickinson melody, this time writing out the chords, which in the Schoenberg case, I only imagined. And as a composer and caring person, one kind of hopes in choosing one's vocation to be able to rescue someone in distress by writing music. However, one rarely comes upon so direct an opportunity to do so.
Well, that's true. Thank you, Joel. This is a poem that was also set by Aaron Copland, among others, but mine is a 12-tone cry of pain, which I invited other composers to harmonize, and which Joel did, very tonally, as he said, and very sensitively. It was written right after Helene and I returned from Europe, when I discovered that despite Joel's efforts at defending me, the Long Island Composers Alliance, of which I'd served as first president in 1991 to 98, was expelling me from membership without even giving me a chance to reply to charges that were never even specified. So the title of the song is appropriate. Why do they shut me out of heaven? Did I sing too loud?
Why do they shut me out of heaven? Did I sing too loud? But I can sing a little higher, timid as a bird. But don't shut the door. Oh, if I were the gentleman in the white robe, and we were the little and had thought, could
Thank you, Perry, and thank you, Joel. You've each got to take a bow deservedly at at that performance at the community church where we've performed for years, and hope to get back someday when the church is finished with its renovations. So here's another poet whose relatively simple words can be read on many levels, including the erotic. Helene and I met Geordie Albiston 20 years ago in Melbourne, Australia, introduced by Alex Skovron, who is with us today. Alex, would you like to say hello?
Yes, hello everybody. And yes, indeed, it was with immense sadness, and you can imagine the deep shock that I had to write to you yesterday, Leonard, to tell you that Geordie had passed away. It was just 3 nights ago now, Melbourne time. She turned 60 in September.
We were terribly shocked to learn that, and our hearts go out to her husband, whose name is again?
Andy Szyklak.
Andy Szyklak. He's a Polish extraction like you, no?
I think, yes, to some, I'm not sure to what extent, but certainly to some extent, yes.
Yeah. Well, please convey to him our very deepest condolences. This celebration of Geordie's poetry has turned into a memorial to her. I guess that the lovely interview that we did with her and with you on February 10th was presumably her last. And we've posted the whole thing at the bottom of the playlist, and we'll have time to watch 4 short segments that I strung together from it. But first, here she is, or was, 20 years ago, reading her poem at Chapel Off Chapel in Melbourne, January 5th, 2002, followed by the abridged interview, and then Helene singing my setting of that poem, also in Melbourne, January 5th, 2002. The poem is called Missing Him.
Missing him. I miss his knock on my door, his taste on my tongue, his clothes on my floor, his breath in my lung. I miss my breast in his hand, his cross on my mark, my woman in his man, his tremble in my dark. I miss his land from my sea, his north from my south, his voice in my ear, my name in his mouth. I miss my faint in his sigh, his flesh on my thigh, those lips that love, my face in his faraway eye. Thank you.
Well, let me tell you something about Geordie. She's certainly one of Australia's finest contemporary poets, and her work has been widely published and anthologized. She's received some of the nation's major prizes and awards, including the Patrick White Award for contribution to Australian literature. Geordie's has published now 13 collections of poetry. There have also been 3 books of children's poetry and a handbook on poetic form. Some of her poetry has drawn on archival and documentary sources, and 2 collections of this kind have been adapted for music theatre. They are Botany Bay Document and The Hanging of Jean Lee. And both of them had seasons at the Sydney Opera House, and both were released on CD.
Were these operas or musicals or something in between?
I guess you could say it's music theatre. Geordie, would you agree with that? How would you describe it more exactly?
Yeah, I think that's how the composer, Andre Greenwell, describes those works.
Well,
Yeah.
what's the name of the composer again?
Andre Greenwell.
Greenwell?
Greenwell from Sydney, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Geordie's work has actually been marked by, you could say, a trademark exploration into the freedoms and constraints of poetic form, whether established or experimental, or indeed sometimes self-imposed constraints.
Well, that sounds familiar, doesn't it? I mean, the sonnet was what brought you and me together to begin with, Alex. I was intrigued by your sonatinas of 10 lines. And of course, I set sonnets to music and called them sonatinas. And apparently, Geordie, you've expanded the sonnet to 15 lines. Is that right?
Well, indeed, Geordie's always delighted in investigating forms and traditional frameworks, especially the sonnet, yes, but also inventing her own original forms. And this has always been underpinned, and this is important, by a deep interest in both music and mathematics. The musical cadence, with frequently a mathematical or arithmetical template shadowing the poetry. Her latest title collection, yes, as you mentioned, is a series or a collection of 15-line sonnets titled 15ers that was published last year. Geordie has described her poetics as, and I quote, highly charged with vertigo and doubt.
So, Geordie, you've had two major musical settings of yours that Alex mentioned, and I was thrilled to have your poem in my cycle, An Australian Odyssey. Was that actually the first time that you were set to music, or were there other times before that?
No, you were the first.
I was the first. Yeah.
You
I get to be called the first man or something like that.
Absolutely. Number one composer.
I'm honored. So now tell us a little bit about the two major musical works that you worked on. Now, one is about the hanging of Jean Lee. Is that right? And
yeah.
she was, I've been kind of obsessed with people who've had judicial deaths like the Rosenbergs and Sacco and Vanzetti and Rosa Luxemburg but these are people who were not guilty of crimes, who were assassinated or murdered judicially. Jean Lee, I gather, was actually guilty, right?
Well, she was an accomplice to a murder. And this was just at the end of the Second World War. She didn't actually carry out the murder of Pop Kent, but she was involved in torturing him prior to the murder and robbing him. But it's always been a pretty controversial moment for Australia that a woman was hanged. Only 5 women have ever been hanged in Australia, and she was the last and the only one hanged in the 20th century.
And you say she wasn't actually the murderer, she was an accomplice to the murder.
Yeah. So there were mistrials and a lot of evidence. It's a long story, but to cut it short, it seemed like it was a political decision to put women back into their place after the war, because women had become very independent and not taking on the regular roles of motherhood and wifedom. And so Jean Lee was held up as an example, get back to the kitchen and rattle things.
So what year was this? 40 something?
The crime was 49 and the hanging was 51.
What I'd really like to know more about is the circumstances that prompted the writing of that poem, Missing Him. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I think it was just the result of reading so many letters and diaries from the first white women in Australia, and whether they were convicts or free settlers, they had always left someone behind, and often it was a husband or a lover. And I think, I just wanted a poem that didn't reference a particular woman with a particular name and a particular circumstance, but was a lot more general, that could be seen as being written by any of those women alone over here in Port Jackson, writing home and missing somebody. Interestingly, when you put it to music, the music that you composed for this poem, which, as you said earlier, is quite a simple little poem, it rhymes and it uses simple words. And what you did with this poem was just migrated into modernity, into the now, because
I think it was in quintuple meter, as I recall. And
Lordy.
So thank you, Helene, and thank you, Alex, and rest in peace, Jordy. So we're going to go on now to.
Can I say something? Can I say something?
Go ahead.
It's interesting, of course, you wrote the song before you heard Jordy read it. And you got the rhythm. And I would wonder that the melody might have been different if you'd heard her read it first.
No, I don't think so. This is how I felt it, and I think it's in the poem, and she read it very, very simply, and it was left open to lots of interpretations, and that was mine.
I think it's a beautiful setting.
Oh, bless you, Alex. You were the godfather of this whole cycle, this 18-song cycle, which we keep drawing on. It's been 20 years now, and we haven't finished enjoying the wealth of it.
And
Yes.
what she said about the letter, and the final phrase of my name, my face in his far away eye.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, now I get it. You know, how many years has it been?
20. Okay, so
I'm out of here.
now we're going to have the major instrumental work of the program. It's 26 minutes long, and it's Rebecca Clark's Sonata for Viola and Piano. And I'm going to invite Dan Hyman, who's with us, to tell you about it.
Thanks so much, Leonard. Rebecca Clark was a professional violist in England, as well as a composer, and almost an exact contemporary of Nadia Boulanger, born the year before her in 1886, and dying the same year in 1979. She was born in England. Her family was both American and German, and ultimately came to America and absorbed mostly French compositional musical influences. Her music reminds us both of Bloch, Debussy, and Dandy, along with Bartók and MacDowell, and every now and then a hint of Goldmark, with many whole tone and tritone harmonic relations, along with quasi-Native American percussive fifths. Similar to the Ionescu concert piece we played last year, it takes a lot of work to learn it, but it's ultimately truly satisfying to play. I've wanted to get to know this piece for years and years. I've heard great things about it, and it was really fun learning it and performing it together.
So here is the Viola Piano Sonata of Rebecca Clark in 3 movements: Impetuoso, Vivace, and Adagio. hear next one of our favorite love songs by one of our favorite composers, the late Mira J. Spector. It's from an opera called Giovanni the Fearless. Here's the score. She wrote this with librettist Carolyn Balducci, and the arrangement of the music was actually by the late Mimi Sternwolf. We have performed this aria a number of times, including a concert of music by Jewish composers at Long Island University. This recording is from our house concert of 10 years ago, at which Mira was present, and you can hear her saying thank you at the end.
Love knows no distance, lovers never ever part. When you love somebody, you hold them in your heart. Turn around, I'm here beside you. Turn around, turn around, I won't go away. I'll never leave you, even for a day. Turn around, I'm here beside you. Hear what I say. 10,000 miles are nothing, 10 years can go by. I know the day is coming when you'll walk by my side. Turn around, I'm here beside you. Turn around, turn around, I won't go away. I'll never leave you, even for a day. Turn around, I'm here beside you. Just turn around. I see your face beside me. I hear you call my name. Though you're not in my arms, I love you just the same. Turn around, I'm here beside you. Just turn around. Another gorgeous song from Mira Spector.
Thank you.
Thank you. There's Mira, as we remember her. So now another song, or two actually, about love. The composers are men, Don McLean and Charles Fox, but the story behind the music is one I found so intriguing, hearing a lecture by Fox on his music. This is his best known song, which Roberta Flack made into a mega hit in the 1970s, but it originated in 1971 with a woman named Lori Lieberman, who just celebrated her 70th birthday. Don McLean's song Empty Chairs inspired her to write a lyric that became Killing Me Softly. And she recently recorded with string quartet in the Netherlands a performance of the first song sandwiching the other, which I found so moving that I spent 3 days transcribing and creating a version to be included in this concert. Thank you, Perry Sussman, for taking it on and recording 12 takes of it with me until we, I think, finally got it right. Here it is, Empty Chairs by Don McLean and Killing Me Softly by Norman Gimbel and Charles Fox, inspired by Lori Lieberman.
I feel the trembling tingle of a sleepless night creep through my fingers, and the moon is bright. Beams of blue come flickering through my window pane, like gypsy moths that dance around a candle flame. And I wonder if you know that I never understood that although you said you'd go, until you did, I never thought you would. Moonlight used to bathe the contours of your face, while chestnut hair fell all around the pillowcase, and the fragrance of your flowers rest beneath my head, a sympathy bouquet left with a love that's dead. And I wonder if you know that I never understood that although you said you'd go, until you did, I never thought you would. Never thought the words you said were true. Never thought you said just what you meant. Never knew how much I needed you. Never thought you'd leave until you went. Morning comes and morning goes with no regret. The evening brings the memories I can't forget. Empty rooms that echo as I climb the stairs, and empty clothes that drape and fall on empty chairs. And I wonder if you know that I never understood that although you said you'd go, until you did, I never thought you would. I never thought you would. I heard he sang a good song. I heard he had a style. And so I came to see him, to listen for a while. And there he was, this young boy, a stranger to my eyes, strumming my pain with his fingers, singing my life with his words, killing me softly with his song, killing me softly with his song, telling my whole life with his words, killing me softly with his song. I felt all flushed with fever, embarrassed by the crowd. I felt he found my letters and read each one out loud. I prayed that he would finish, but he just kept right on, strumming my pain with his fingers, singing my life with his words, killing me softly with his song, would. That although you said you'd go, I never thought you would. I never thought you
Thank you, Perry. Thank you so much. Now we're going to hear two songs, one right after the other, performed at Merkin Hall, June 23rd, 1991. In the first one, a Spanish Civil War song by Edith Siegel, the 88-year-old composer, played the castanets. I have a picture of Edith right here. This is part of an album that we did with her called Songs of Conscience. And in the second one, the Wendy Osserman Dance Company and Helene performed My Zelophehad's Daughters, about the first successful struggle for women's rights based on Numbers and Deuteronomy. The work has also been done with 5 female singers, most recently at Trinity Church in Roslyn on August 18th, 2019. That included Helene and Perry and Nancy Zucker, who's on this call as well. This coming May 14th, Dance Visions New York plans to do it with those same 5 singers at Cedar Mere in Roslyn. Here now are Underneath the Spanish Stars and Zelophehad's Daughters.
I
As you see, Edith Siegel took a bow at the end too, because she actually helped finance that with a Meet the Composer grant that she got and contributed toward it. I was remembering that the five daughters were set, of course, in quintuple meter, just like Missing Him of the Jordi Albiston setting, quintuple meter, 5/8, 5/4. So now there's a couple out in Madison, Wisconsin, named Lou and Peter Berryman. Here they are in the wild, and here they are, sort of crazy, upside down sign. And we have all their records, their CDs. They play. She plays accordion, he plays guitar, and they've written a few hundred songs. He writes the words, she writes the music. They wrote to us and called themselves your greatest fans in Dairyland. And in fact, they attended and helped with sound at two concerts we gave in Madison, Wisconsin in 2004 and in 2019. We are great fans of theirs. We, having performed and recorded 17 of their songs to date. We asked them to join us today. And Peter sent us these words from Madison, while Lou wrote in from where she was vacationing in Costa Rica. Peter wrote, Lou and Peter Berryman here. We'd like to thank deeply Leonard and Helene for continuing to spread our idiotic songs around the planet. Somebody's got to do it. We're retired, though we still write songs, and are in awe of these two who don't seem to slow down at all. Leonard, Helene, what is your secret? To which Lou responded, I'd appreciate your taking out the word idiotic. I get being self-effacing, but sometimes Peter protests too much. Sorry, Peter. So, of course, these Berryman songs are not idiotic, eccentric, weird, fun, but definitely not stupid. Here are four of our favorites. In the second one, we added verse 3 of 4 with permission.
Sometimes when the grass is blown by the breeze, there's a faraway look in the leaves of the trees. A memory returns heartbreakingly clear of a place I call home.
Your state's name here.
No sky could be deeper, no water so clear as back in the meadows of
Your state's name here.
I'm gonna go back, although I don't know when. There's no other place like
Your state's name again. Your state's name here again.
What a state. I have not been back since
A reasonable date.
when the asphalt grows soft in July every year in the warm summer mornings of
Your state's name here.
my grandpa would come and turn on the game and fall asleep drinking
Your local beer's name.
while grandma would sing in the garden for hours too.
All of the names of indigenous flowers.
The songs that she sang were somewhat obscure. She learned from the local townspeople, I'm sure. The language they use is not very clear, like
Basic colloquialism right here. Your state's name here again.
What a state. I have not been back since
A reasonable date.
where the asphalt grows soft in July every year in the warm summer mornings of
Your state's name here.
I'd love to wake up where
The state songbird.
things where they manufacture
The names of some things.
like there on the bumper, a sticker so clear, and I in the heart, and then
Your state's name here.
whisper it soft as a song to my ear.
Your state's name here. Your state's name here.
It's there I was born, and it's there I'll grow old, by the rivers of blue and the arches of gold. Oh,
Your state's name here again.
what a state. I have not been back since
A reasonable date.
where the asphalt grows soft in July every year in the warm summer mornings of
Your state's name here. In the warm summer mornings of your state's name here.
What's on a cockroach socks. Tiny vacations throughout the year, deep in the bread flakes box.
Crumble the cookie, leave out the bread, turn out the light because down on the floor where cockroaches live, you are the Santa Claus. What's on a cockroach Christmas list? Never to be alone. Someone to hold in all of their arms, someone to call their own.
Someone to give their feelers a feel, someone to brush their legs. Dark assignations under the fridge, somewhere to lay their eggs.
Crumble the cookie, leave out the bread, turn out the light because down on the floor where cockroaches live, you are the Santa Claus. What's on a cockroach Christmas list? An Atlantic City bus, where they can ride to their heart's content and leave the driving to us. Where they can fold their transfers in half and with a practiced eye turn them all into cool paper planes and to the boardwalk fly. And crumble the cookie, leave out the bread, turn out the light because down by the floor where cockroaches live, you are the Santa Claus.
What's on a cockroach Christmas list? The answer to all their prayers. A nuclear war has taken its toll, and all of the world is theirs. All of the crackers, all of the jam, never the need to hide.
No more the rolled up newsweek of doom.
No more insecticide.
Crumble the cookie, leave out the bread, turn out the light because down on the floor where cockroaches live, you are the Santa Claus. Crumble the cookie, leave out the bread, turn out the light because down on the floor where cockroaches live, you are the Santa Claus. You are the Santa Claus. You are the Santa Claus.
Holes in the ozone, the size of Brazil, barges of trash in a chewable breeze, pools of industrial wasteland pate, sulfur dioxide dissolving the trees. Pretty soon it will all end with a boom. Why am I painting the living room?
I have the whole day off, 'cause it's a Saturday. There is a bluegrass band somewhere along the bay. Look at the lilacs bloom, and here I am painting the living room.
Why am I painting the living room? 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 A pinhead evangelist pays for his sin with a $5 fine for black-collar crime. Kingpins of industry knowingly nod, just like Lake Erie, they're 12% slime. They wink at the president too, I assume, and here I am painting the living room.
I hear the bluebirds sing, don't let the day go by. Look at the blossoms blow over the blue, blue sky, all with a wild perfume. And here I am painting the living room, everybody.
Why am I painting the living room? Why am I painting the living room? Why am I painting the living room? Why wise old woman, they're saying of whom sure had a good looking living room. Why am I painting the living room? 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 Why am I painting the living When the raindrops tumble through the dark night air, it's so hard to remember that the moon's still there. Though the clouds may diminish by the dawn somehow, in the sky high above them that old moon shines now. Where a jet plane twinkles in the starry sky, and it's hard to imagine there are folks that high, eating nuts and peering through the atmosphere, trying hard to imagine there are folks down here. So good night, everybody, and good night, all things. We will sleep close together till the alarm clock rings. We may range from the ocean to the end of space, but in time's destination, we're in one small place. There are friends by the ocean, oh so far away, whom I left in the evening of a bygone day. I will go back to see them once again, I vow, but what gives me the shivers is they're there right now. I won't feel that I'm going till I start to pack. I won't feel that I've been there till the slides come back. When we stand together by the deep blue sea, I will not quite believe that it is really me. So good night, everybody, and good night, all things. We will sleep close together till the alarm clock rings. We may range from the ocean to the end of space, but in time's estimation, we're in one small place. Though the flights to the moon have been in some decline, I remember the eagle back in '69. That they walked on the moon is not as wild somehow as the fact there are footprints on the moon right now. And we all go exploring in our separate ways. We take off on vacation by ourselves for days, but we're always together, and we're home at last, at the spot where the future meets the dear old past. So good night, everybody, and good night, all things. We will sleep close together till the alarm clock rings. We may range from the ocean to the end of space, but in time's estimation, we're in one small place.
So if some of you want to say or have already said good night after that song, we understand, of course. But if you want to hear some of what I think is some of the most beautiful and expressive music ever written, stick around for this final song cycle on woman's love and life, life and love, with music by Robert Schumann. Perry, would you like to say a word about what inspired you to spend the time learning these songs?
Yeah, so I actually got interested in the cycle back when I was in high school. I attended the Boston University Tanglewood Institute for 2 summers. Can't remember if it was my first or second summer, but one of them I heard the second song in the cycle, and I really loved the melody. I loved the energy behind it. needed a friend of mine who was, I also met in that program. He was like, yeah, you should sing that song. It would be a good piece for you. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe something to learn in the future. So then in college, I learned that it was from the song cycle and a little more of what the song cycle was about. And I just thought it was really interesting because a lot of song cycles, they don't have such a linear story like this one does. And I think that was partially what really drew me into it, because it's like a really specific character, really specific events happening. So I learned like half of it in college, and after college tried to learn a little more, but of course, other things came up. And then finally, I got to learn the whole thing. So I'm very happy I'm finally able to complete it.
Well, we're very happy too. And now here is Frauenliebe und Leben by Adalbert von Chamisso and Robert Schumann. The subtitles are in the original German and an English singing translation by Percy Pinkerton.
Seit ich hingesehen, glaub ich blind zu sein, wo ich hin nur blicke, seh ich ihn allein, wie im wachen Traume schwebt sein Bild mir vor, doch das tiefste Dunkel helle nur sonst ist Licht und farblos alles um mich her. Nach der schwersten Spiele nicht begehr ich mehr, mich die Liebe weinen, stillen Kämmerlein, seit ich hingesehen, glaub ich blind zu sein. Der herrlichste von allen, wie so milde, wie so gut, hat Lippen, klares Auge, heller Sinn und bester Mut, so wie dort in blaue Tiefe, hell und herrlich jener Stern, also an meinem Himmel, und und fern. Wandle, wandle deine Bahnen, nur betrachten deinen Schein, nur in Demut ihn betrachten, selig nur und traurig sein. Höre nicht mein stilles Beten, deinem Glücke nur geweiht, da ich mich nicht vermag, nicht kennen, oh, ich steh die Ehrlichkeit, oh, ich nur die würdigste von allen, darf beglücken deine Maul, und ich will wohl singen, viele tausendmal, will mich freuen dann und weinen, selig bin ich dann, sollte mir das Herz auch brechen, brich, o Herz, was liegt daran? Der herrlichste von allen, wie so milde, wie so gut. Rot Lippen, klares Auge, heller Sinn und bester Mut. Wie so milde, wie so gut. Ich kann's nicht fassen, nicht glauben, es hat ein Traum mich beruhigt. Wie hätte doch heute Ahnen mich Arme erhöht und beglückt. Mir was habe gesprochen, ich bin auf ewig dein. Mir was ich träume noch immer, es kann ja nimmer so sein, es kann ja nimmer so sein. Oh, lasse Trommel mich sterben, gewiegelt an seine Brust, den seligen Tod mich schlafen, in Tränen unendliche Lust. Ich kann's nicht fassen, nicht glauben, es hat ein Traum mich berührt. Wie hätte doch heute Ahnen mich Arme erhöht und beglückt. Ich kann's nicht fassen, nicht glauben, es hat ein Traum mich berührt. Du Ring an meinem Finger, mein goldenes Ring allein, ich drücke dich fromm an die Lippen, dich fromm an die Lippen, an das Herz mein. Ich hatten ausgeträumet, die Kindheit friedlich schönen Traum. Ich fand allein mich verloren im öden unendlichen Raum. Du Ring an meinem Finger, da hast du mich erst belehrt, hast meinem Blick geschlossen, des Lebens unendlichen Tiefen Wert. Ich will in deinem Leben immer seinem Glanz. Du Ring an meinem Finger, ein goldenes Ringelein. Ich drücke dich fromm an die Lippen, dich fromm an die Lippen, an das Herze mein. Helft mir, Schwestern, freundlich, wie schmücken die glücklichen heute mehr. Finde geschäftig mehr um die Sterne nach dem Blue in dem Myrte sehr. Als ich befriedigt, freudigen Herzen, sonst im gelebten Arme lag, immer noch rief es in so mein Herzen, den dortigen heutigen Tag. Helft mir, Schwestern, helft mir verscheuen eine törichte Bangigkeit, dass ich mit klarem Auge empfange die Quelle der Freudigkeit. Bist mein Geliebter, du mir erschienen, gibst du mir Sonne deinen Schein. Lass mich in Andacht, lass mich in Demut, lass mich verneigen dem Herrn ein. Streuet Schwestern, streut Blumen, bringet knospende Rosen dar. Aber euch Schwestern grüß ich mit Wehmut. Freudig scheidet das eure Schar, freudig scheidet das eure Schar. Freund, du blickest mich verwundert an. Kannst es nicht begreifen, wie ich weinen kann? Lass die feuchten Perlen ungewohnte Zier, freudig helle Zittern in dem Auge mir. So bang mein Busen, wie so wundervoll. Wüsst ich nur mit Worten, wie ich's sagen soll, kommen liegt ein Antlitz hier an meine Brust, willen so die Fürsten alle meine Lust. Weißt du nun die Tränen, die ich weinen kann? Schlag, dass ich fest und feste nur dich drücken mag, fest und feste. An meinem Bette hat die Wiege Raum. Sie still verberge meinen hoden Traum. Kommen liegt ein Morgen, wo der Traum erwacht und daraus dein Bildnis mir entgegenlacht. Dein Bildnis. An meinem Herzen, an meiner Brust, du meine Wanne, du meine Lust, das Glück ist die Liebe ist das Glück. Ich hab's gesagt, du nimmst nicht zurück, hab überschwellig mich geschützt, bin überglücklich, aber jetzt, nur die da säugt, nur die da liebt, das Kind, dem sie die Nahrung gibt. Nur eine Mutter weiß allein, was Leben heißt und glücklich sein. Nur wie bedeutet doch den Mann, der Mutter Glück nicht fühlen kann. Du liebe, liebe, liebe Gott, du schaust mich an und lächelst und so an meinem Herzen und meiner Brust. Du meine Wonne, du Nun hast du mir den ersten Schmerz getan, der betraf. Du schläfst, du harte, unbarmherzige Mann, den Todesschlaf. Es blicket die Verlassene vor sich hin. Die Welt ist leer, ist leer. Gelebt hab ich und gelebt. Ich bin nicht lebend mehr. Ich zieh mich in mein innere Still zurück.
Thank you, Perry. Such a pleasure. So let me briefly invite anyone who'd like to say hello to unmute and to do so. Only first a word about the themes and contents of our next concerts. April 5th, we'll present the program for Jewish Music Month. May 3rd will be devoted to Maying. June 14th to students and teachers. And September 13th, we're planning to celebrate the birthdays of Helene's mother, Ethel Gross Williams Raymond, and Antonin Dvorak. And now, who would like to speak? Irving Singer, you've been, I think, the most loyal member of the Valley Stream community. And I see you're unmuted, but I don't see your video. Do you want to start your video and we can see you?
Let's do it now. You can start your video because I've been... No. Okay, stop it.
There you are.
Good. It's been a great deal of fun today, listening, and it's a lot different than turning on the news.
Right. Well, we're going to watch the news at 9 o'clock. Until then, I think we're there.
Hopefully, they'll have some promise that this tragedy will end with the destruction of this man in the Kremlin.
Yeah.
He is outrageous to think he wants to kill all those Russians besides the Ukrainians. I don't know where he's going.
The nickname for him in Russia today, I think, is Putler.
Putler?
Anyhow, so Nancy, Mark, good to see you. Glenn, it's good to see you. And Dan, you're still here downstairs. That's great. Perry, you want to unmute? We can see you, but we can't hear you. This has been the most wonderful concert. Thanks in so much part to you.
Oh, thank you for letting me be a part of it and for letting me explore so much different repertoire.
Mark Wasserstrom, hello there. Good to see you. You want to unmute and say hello? Mark is in Kansas City. He's a classmate of mine from Harvard and a very loyal fan of ours in these concerts. It's great to see you. You usually don't let us see you, but you're doing so now. We appreciate that. How you doing?
Excellent. I enjoyed the concert a great deal, Leonard.
Thank you so much, Mark. Well, we're looking forward to seeing you in the flesh in the reunion in June. You're coming, aren't you?
I made my reservation in Porter Square, and prices are outrageous. $500 a night.
Oh, well, we have friends and relatives we can stay with. Fortunately, we just confirmed that up this week. But we're going to be up there in June for a week. Actually, we'll perform at the Community Church of Boston on the 12th. That's why our June concert is not the first Tuesday of the month, since we'll be in Boston for that time. But we'll be, doing the student and teachers concert on the 14th. So, Glenn, It's good to see you. We just saw you in Florida. We appreciated your putting us up for a night. It was very nice to see you. And where's your lovely wife? Is she with you? We're not going to hear you unless you unmute. There you are.
Thank you. She's just arrived. She's upstairs at the moment, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you for visiting. We enjoyed that.
Always good.
Yeah. So did we. All those lovely house and lovely gadgets. I was sort of pricing a seltzer maker myself just a few days ago.
I can send you more information.
Okay.
It's okay.
Nancy,
I don't think it'll work.
Do you want to say hello? Nancy is probably my oldest friend on here. Yes, definitely my oldest friend since 1960. And she is, before my father passed on, she became the vice president. And so now she's the acting president of the Professor Edgar H. Lehrman Memorial Foundation that my father founded back in the 1980s, and which continues in large measure thanks to her, and which is funding these concerts, and will be funding Sacco and Vanzetti that we'll be doing in September 9th and 10th and 11th. And Lean and Perry are in that, and Dan also, and Nancy, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to do the September 13th concert as we planned. It's going to be pretty tight. We'll see. We might have to put that off. Anyhow, thank you, Nancy. You want to say hello? Can you do you have a? I don't think you have a camera, but you have a microphone, don't you? You're unmuted now. Hello.
I'm in the car.
You're in the car.
Oh, she's in the car.
Oh, okay. Well, if you speak up, we can hear you.
Very cool. Very cool.
Okay.
Oh, here's a note from Candace Falk. Wonderful, first rate. Unfortunately, I'll have to leave the performance Fun fact, Emma Goldman loved opera and would often judge her dates by their ability to feel the music in their souls.
Yeah, that's
Thank
Candace,
you,
and that's
Candace.
Emma. Yeah, yeah, and Emma certainly had her share of dates too. We know about that. Very loving woman. Well,
Tova wrote, "Ooh, gorgeous! We have to go. Can't wait for next month's concert." I was sorry for that
that's
invitation.
a perfect invitation, Lily.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
It's good exercise for the upper register.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's in the same league with my invitation of Lou Berryman earlier, right? Right, ready from Costa Rica.
That was cute. That was cute.
Okay.
The whole thing was cute. Gosh, every
Thank
time we
you all
listen.
for sticking around. It was wonderful having. I think we had about 25 or 6, and we're down below a million now. So we have to say good night. We'll all be watching at 9 o'clock, I guess, and hoping for the best. And so we'll see you all again next month. It's not the first of the month. It's the 5th. April 5th. We'll be here doing Jewish music, and we'll look forward to seeing you all then. And
yeah, come back.
Yeah.
Come back, okay? This time we won't charge you.
Good night, everybody. Good night, all things.
Good night. Bye.